Hi everyone, my name is Patrick Akil, and if you've ever heard of Deno, this episode is for you. It is an open source JavaScript runtime to uncomplicate things. Joining me today is Leo Kettmeir. As long-term open source contributor, it landed him a job at Deno as software engineer, and he shares the ins and outs of what's going on. So enjoy! I'm really curious how you eventually ended up at Deno, because I know you're self-taught. I know you dropped out of, I think it was high school.
Yep.
And then you picked up programming and you just started contributing basically here and there. How did you end up in Deno? What's the story there?
So it was completely random. It was a YouTube recommendation.
A YouTube recommendation.
It was Ryan's talk.
Praise the algorithm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Ryan's talk, 10 Things I Regret About Node.
Okay.
And on the same day, like 3 hours before I saw the video, they created a Discord server.
Okay.
So if it wasn't for that coincidence, I would not have joined the community, because I didn't want, before that we were using, I can't remember what it's called, like something Git. It's like some chat platform that some projects use. I can't remember the name.
Okay.
But it was not my type of thing that I use really. And I use Discord to a day-to-day basis. It's like years.
Yeah.
Just to talk with friends. And then 3 hours before, they created a Discord server. So like that was a pure coincidence.
It's like a one-on-one. Yeah, easy.
So I joined the community, and then I saw some issues, like they were asking people for help. Obviously, it was the beginning of the project, relatively new.
Yeah.
That was early 2020. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Shortly before the 1.0 release. Yeah. I joined, started contributing a bit here and there. Like one issue was removing comments, because there were too many comments and it was causing issues with like some script.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to make a Discord bot library, because I was using Discord bots in Node.
Of course.
And that's like the basic thing, I guess, that everyone starts off nowadays with.
It's a nice thing, I think.
Yeah. But there wasn't a library for Deno, so I started making one, and then I encountered a bunch of issues. And like, they don't have that many people at the time that are working like full-time on a project as well, like 5 people. So the first issue is, you're missing this implementation of this web spec. I've never done this, but I mean, let me take a look. Why not? And then slowly started getting more deeper. Like the first one was like something with form data in like fetch responses or something missing. And then the next one after that was implementing all of web sockets, because Deno didn't have any web sockets.
Yeah.
So I implemented that, and then it just went deeper and deeper and deeper. And I was basically then contributing nearly full time.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I got hired.
Nice.
Like, I asked Ryan, hey, can I join? And then, yeah.
Great. Before we get into Deno, for people that don't know, who's Ryan?
Ryan Dahl.
Yeah.
The creator of Node.js. And he started a project, like Node was started in 2009, publicized 2011, I think. Don't quote me on that. And then he left the project at some point, I think 2014 maybe, or 2012, I can't remember. But then he started Deno, because he had regrets with Node, and he wanted to make things right. So he started a new project, and that's Deno.
Yeah. Was the video you saw, because you said it was 10 mistakes I made in Node, obviously that I'm going to correct in Deno. There's no better marketing than that from the creator of, let's say, Node.
Yeah.
It's like the best thing.
Oh, yeah. It was like a massive success, and obviously that's... So many people heard about Deno from that.
Yeah.
And like, if you look at the graph of like star history on GitHub, it like, on the data presentation, it went like up, like, straight up, like over 20,000 stars in like a day or two.
That's insane. Like people talk about the hockey stick curve, and then all of a sudden that's it. That's basically it. But that struck a chord with you also in that you wanted to kind of join this community and collaborate and participate, or was it just, this looks interesting?
This looks interesting.
Really?
Like, I didn't really care about who is this guy? Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really care about like famous programmers, celebrities or stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're a person.
Nice.
Why do you deserve anything more than being treated special?
I like the sober aspect of like the fame doesn't mean anything. You're still a human at the end of the day. Yeah, because that's how I feel as well. But how did you get into programming in the first place? Because I know it wasn't your traditional education journey.
No, I mean, in middle school, I did in an English international school in Italy, and they had a more extensive computer science program during middle school, and that's where I started like some basic HTML and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I went into Java a bit for like half a year, and that was like, okay, I'm never going to touch this again. don't want to touch Java.
I agree. So let's leave it at that.
I've not tried Kotlin yet. I need to, but Java itself, we can leave it. It's its own thing. And then, that just picked up. And then I was always doing a few things here and there, just for fun on the side. And then, just grew the interest. And then at some point history is history. Started contributing to Deno, and that's it.
Yeah, but I know you do like I would assume more so low-level stuff, like implementing WebSockets is not the easiest thing.
Yeah.
Especially if you're, like you came from either a traineeship or maybe some type of educational background, but a lot of you basically educated yourself.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Because I think you brush over it, but for me, that's a lot of the interesting side.
I mean, I didn't know any low-level programming really. Like I should touch C like one time in class, and that was it. Yeah. I didn't do any low-level programming whatsoever, but for me, it just made sense. It just clicked. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I only knew a bit of JavaScript and TypeScript, like basic. Like I didn't really understand promises at the time yet when I started contributing to Deno. Like that's how bad it was.
Okay.
And, but now, I mean, it just made sense, and now I understand all of that much better as well.
Yeah. Do you? Because sometimes I have engineers on the episodes, and when they see something, they want to go deep and truly understand how it clicks. And for me, I don't really have that. Like I want to use whatever's available, how it works on a low level. Like I want to understand it, but that's not my main interest. I want to use it to what I want to do more so on either product level or in solving a problem. Where do you fall kind of on the spectrum? Because I know you have a lot of the in-depth knowledge, but is that also what makes you tick?
I would say in between, I guess, of the two things. It depends, honestly, though.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, let's say I'm using some random package to do something. I'm not going to like deep dive into it. Mm-hmm. But if there's like something, this could be made better maybe, or like there's some problems here, then I will actually start deep diving into the package and like submit PRs to the original package or make a fork or create a completely new project from scratch.
But not begrudgingly so?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I mean,
so this is just business as usual?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems I don't need to waste my time in like deep diving into everything. But when there's the need to, I'll do it. And I don't mind doing it.
Yeah. I think it's also part of the journey. And then sometimes you have to go deep and sometimes you have to get out of there. I feel like that's where I'm at as well. Mm-hmm. When it comes to kind of contributing to open source, I know it's something you've been doing. I know it's something you're fond of as well. What I hear for people is that there's kind of this hurdle, because it is, especially if you're either coming from an educational journey or you're switching from a different career, in and of its own, contributing to open source, I feel like is going to give you a lot of the skills that you need when you either are in a company or when you have something that needs to go out to a lot of users or in production in that way. And people see kind of a hurdle with contributing in the first place because it's harder to contribute. There might be a lot of time overhead, that it needs to be a lot of QA and an approval process. And sometimes a PR might be open for months before you get merged. Like, what was your first kind of dab into contributing to open source?
I mean, open source itself was, how did I start off? I think it was just, I was one of those terrible people that was just open random PRs to get Hacktober t-shirts.
Okay.
At one point I did that for like a year or two. Like whenever Hacktober came around, I just did that, which I regret nowadays and shouldn't have done that.
Prestigious t-shirt.
Yeah. Which nowadays I don't really care anything about it. Actually, remove that thing. It's annoying. People
learned from that.
Yeah, people opening random PRs. That's so fucking annoying.
Yeah, because now you're on the other side.
And but no, I guess that's how I started. And then like actually starting properly contribute. It was Deno. Like Deno was learning low-level programming, contributing, just basically everything all at once was for me just a deep dive.
What would you recommend to people that then feel this kind of hurdle? Because you already were nodding your head and saying, yes, like a PR can be open for months sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, prod people every now and then, if that's the case, like if you have a PR open for a long time, but don't be annoying. Don't overly bother people. Don't just write bump on the PR. Don't just go to like the maintainers and constantly ask them for questions. Like, they also have to do other things. Like they have many PRs to handle. Like let them do the job.
It's like a 1-to-many ratio.
But they will get to it. Like you're not ignored, not for no reason. Like just it takes time, especially like for a project like Deno. we have so many PRs open.
Oh, yeah.
I think we have currently like over 150 PRs open or more, even over 200 nowadays.
Yeah.
We had the rule to not go over 100.
Okay. No, that didn't work.
Project just grows quickly, and that's a problem. So, sure, getting more people helps, but that has its limit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just wait. Let's see if they don't reply. Just ping every now and again. Like, don't be obnoxious. We don't like obnoxious people.
No, I can imagine. Yeah. But you still want people to contribute, right?
Oh,
Even
yeah,
though there's like 150 PRs open. That's from a point of where people want to contribute. And if there's like an open source like project that has 150 PRs open where people are still actively contributing and merging things, that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, issues grow and grow. Like, we have way too many issues. I think we are like over 10,000 open issues, which is also a problem because you need to fix a lot of stuff. But like, a lot of those issues are like feature requests and additional stuff, or like this very specific edge case, which like impacts one user. Obviously, we have priorities. We cannot address everything at once.
Yeah.
So again, PRs may stay open for a while if they're extremely low priority, especially if they're large PRs. If they're small, simple PRs, like, I don't know, let's say up to, 300 lines, I would say it's relatively small-ish, depending on what you're touching. I don't think that's an issue. But if you're like going into thousands of lines changed, that's more difficult to land, especially if it's, again, low priority.
Yeah. It's like a full context switch and low priority means it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. What do you think of then the skills you gain while contributing to open source projects? How do you think it translates into what you might do professionally when you land a job, let's say?
I would not necessarily say contributes that much, honestly. Sure, there's some relationship to like being clear and communicative with PRs and issues, and like that translates to some degree, but for some people it doesn't.
Okay.
Like, I know a lot of people that are really good at their job, but are not like amazing like communicators, or like just very reserved and just don't talk much. I mean, that's half of the programmers probably out there. And yeah, you don't need to be like outspoken or anything like that to get into programming and open source. Just text communication, it's different than verbal communication, of course. So that's one point. Just so basic text communication is, I would say, a skill that you need to learn.
Yeah.
Because you need to communicate what these changes you're doing, why you're doing it, etc. And if there's a more in-depth reason, then obviously you have to explain that. But on a higher level, I wouldn't say there's too much, honestly, that is necessary and that you really need to pick up. Obviously, programming, that's kind of difficult if you don't know that.
That's the must.
Yeah. But that aside, I mean, if you're enjoying something, then do that. Like, that's pretty much it. Enjoy the project you're working on. And even if you don't know how to communicate properly, still contribute. Like, even if your text communication is not that great, still do it. You'll get better at it, even if you think you will not.
That's fair. I think we might differ from opinions, because I do think that the soft skills side is getting more and more, let's say, important in what problems people solve.
Oh, yeah.
And I get that when you're solving, let's say, deep technical problems, then your soft skills at the end of the day, like it matters within your team, but it doesn't matter with regards to getting business buy-in, or if you're a bigger organization. I mean, buy-in is still a big thing, or even convincing other people with regards to what you need to do for priorities even. But I do see a shift where that becomes more important. And it might either be because we're not really innovating, all of us, all at the same time. And sometimes we're solving the same problem, so we have to advocate for what. But I do think the soft skills matter, or at least matter more than they used to.
Yes, I would say that is true. But if you're skilled enough, honestly, it doesn't. Like,
you have to be really skilled. Yeah.
No, I know people that they don't talk whatsoever, like even on text basis.
Yeah.
And you just send them like an issue, and they will fix it without saying a word. Like, they just do the job. They don't communicate at all. I know multiple people like that. It's not ideal in some scenarios.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it works,
if they solve the right thing.
Yeah.
Because they can also solve the wrong thing if it's a misinterpretation. Yeah.
Sure. But I mean, they should be able to communicate at least as far to get clear ideas on what they need to work on.
Fair. Yeah. What, in your view, makes a really good engineer then? Because I'm curious about that.
Ooh, what makes a good engineer? That's a tough one. I mean, there's so many different aspects to it. I don't think there's like one clear-cut way.
Yeah.
Obviously, being communicative, it's really good to have that skill. Being able to make up proposals and like write proposals for like a feature or something properly, that is fairly good, and that's something I can't do.
Really?
Or at least haven't done properly yet. Like writing out a proposal for me just seems like a massive pain.
Okay.
And like extensive list of procedure and like what we need to do here and there and there. I'd rather just jump straight into it.
Execute.
Into it.
Yeah.
But that's not the ideal way, especially for a company. Like a company, especially that has priority, they want to know like what the process is for this thing to be added and like etc. So that is a good skill to have that I don't have. And yeah, you don't, what else? I wouldn't say being a jack of all trades is a good thing, but neither a bad thing.
Okay.
Like it depends obviously on what you're working on and the skill set you have. But like there's people that are really good at one very specific thing, and that's really good. And other people are really good at many different things. It really depends honestly on what you're working on and just the circumstances. So in that regard, I wouldn't pick one of the two cases. It really depends. And that aside, I mean, don't be an asshole. That's a good skill to have.
That's the most important one. Yeah.
Just don't be an asshole. It's quite simple.
I like your remark that at the end of the day, if you're a generalist or a specialist, like both have their use cases and their value, which also means that you as a programmer, you can be unique in what you like and what you're good at versus someone else, and there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you, like, do you see yourself as a generalist or a specialist, or how did you learn to become either?
It's, I think, a bit in between. I mean, I know general Rust, I do various different parts of the Deno code base, but I do have a specific knowledge of like web standards and just following standards and stuff like that, which I think is good to have a mix of both. Specialization helps you find a job, for example. I mean, if you know something really well, companies will want to have you. But the problem is finding companies that will want that specific skill.
Yeah.
And that's why generalization is good, because if you join a company that don't need that specific skill and you don't know just generalization, like general stuff, then you're
out. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, which is like, if I leave Deno, for example, if that would ever happen, where do I go? I mean, I cannot web stuff, like either go Chromium based, and that's like learning C++ and C, and I don't want to do that. No thanks.
Yeah. Rust is gaining traction here and there.
Yeah, but
not specific.
For the web standards part, less. I mean, there is Mozilla with Servo project. I mean, that is, I guess, it's fully Rust, so I guess that would be my other viable place to go. But like Mozilla itself still does a lot of C++. So like that would also not be viable for me. So like for me, in my specialization category of web knowledge, does not transfer to many places. Like Apple, I don't think they use Rust.
No, I don't think so. No. They use a little bit of Go. That I know, but otherwise no Rust.
Yeah, so I don't have many places to go with my specific knowledge. Oh no, I mean, I enjoy Deno, and I'm going to stay for a long time. I hope at least.
Yeah.
You never know, but...
Yeah. I'm really curious then, so regardless or if you're a specialist or a generalist, you taught yourself and it just clicked. And for people that are trying now, I feel like the more we go into the future, the more information is out there, the more even automation tools come in to make you more productive and to hopefully accelerate that learning journey. But for people that were to start out and seek a career in software engineering, or for people that want to pivot, how would you advise them to start out when it comes to learning the skills they need?
That really depends to person, honestly. Like, I've had people asking me, oh, how can I learn this? Or like, I had a friend ask me, how can I learn Rust?
Yeah.
I just told him, look at the Rust book. I mean, the Rust book is actually really good.
It's quite good. Yeah.
So like, anyone should go through that. But more specific knowledge is, like, it's really tricky. Find something you enjoy. You don't enjoy games? Try making a game, or try making like an emulator. Like making an Chip 8 emulator is like something I did like 3 or 4 years ago. Like when I just started knowing Rust, like doable. It's not like, sure, it's not simple, but it's a good project to like get into like some deeper knowledge. So like just find something you want to build, even if you don't want to build, but find something you might be interested in. Like as long as you're interested in it, then you will learn. Even if you don't enjoy it that much, but have like, let's say making an emulator. I don't really have an interest in emulators, let's say, for example, but I have an interest in how games work under the hood, etc. And you learn that by making an emulator, even though I don't care about an emulator. I think it's theoretical example, so it depends.
Yeah, I think that's the best advice. Look at what you like, and that might actually entail what you want to create or get at least energy out of creating something similar.
Yeah, correct.
And then start from there and see what you need. Because it's different, right? Because some of the questions I get, usually I do these Q&A episodes where people ask questions, and this is one of them, or they ask what the best framework is or which language to pick up first. And that's the more technical side of it, what you need to do whatever you want. And then you're turning it around. Look at what you want to do and then figure out what you need to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, language, it really depends on what you're trying to build. You're not going to use JavaScript for making like an operating system. I mean, there's people that do that, but they're crazy. But no, for that you would like use a low-level programming language like C, C++, Rust, or I guess, I don't know. I mean, Go, I wouldn't say is ideal for making an operating system.
Not yet.
You don't really want GC in there.
No.
But yeah, it really depends what you're trying to build.
Yeah. But then there's still, like, for example, I tried to pick up Rust in like a hackathon or acceleration day. And for me, there was quite a hump in things that I needed to accommodate for to get stuff up and running. And I come from like a Go background. I started out in operations, and the first language I picked up professionally, so outside of educational journey, which was mainly Python, was Go. And then it was very simple to start, contribute, and execute on an existing code base. We were already live on production. So to then start from 0 to 1, because I wanted to create something with Rust, for me was quite a bump. So then throughout that experience, if someone were to ask me, should I start with Rust as my first programming language? I'd be like, man, would I then advise that? Maybe not. Maybe start with something similar where the concepts are more defined, or you have that more out of the box, get a general understanding, and then try Rust. But you said Rust was actually quite easy on the pickup for you.
Yeah, for me it was.
So things just click again?
Yeah.
That's magic, man. Honestly.
Like, again, I only knew JavaScript and some TypeScript. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, it made sense.
Okay.
This makes sense. This is weird, but it makes sense. Makes more sense than C++. Oh, fuck that. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
no, it makes, I mean, I guess it really depends from person to person in the end. Like what you prefer, and learn what you think you might enjoy. I mean, I tried Haskell at one point. I tried for 1 week. I didn't really continue. That was like many years ago. So
It's like you went back, you were like, yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, I want to get back into it again at some point, just to like understand what the fuck I was not understanding properly back then. But I mean, I like Rust. Haskell has its own use cases, obviously, but not the use cases I need.
I like that you like Rust also, because I am on a lot of Go subreddits, and people are like, Go sucks, Go Rust here, or blah, blah, blah. And there's this different train of thought that says they can coexist. And I think I'm in the latter part, where I think, okay, you can solve the same problems, but at the end of the day, languages can coexist. But still, how languages gets adoption in different companies is kind of a chicken and egg problem. Because as a bigger organization, you want to use what's established. And right now, it's still JVM based. It's very much still Java. And Java is improving regardless. But companies are looking for Java engineers then. And when you have people that are enthusiastic either about Rust or about Go, smaller organizations might experiment with that, but they're different from bigger adoption, basically. So language needs to find its footing to get adoption, but also it needs to have adoption to find its footing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same problem with Deno itself as well.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's a tricky issue. I mean, there's obviously some people that always will push for it, even at smaller companies, and smaller companies will then do it, and some are successful, some are not. That's just business for you. But yeah, for larger companies, it's tricky. I mean, getting adoption from a larger company means that you need to have someone inside the company that is relatively high up that is interested in the technology. Like, I can't have like some junior engineer at like some big tech company wanting to use Deno and trying to push it internally. It's not gonna work.
No.
But if like a senior manager says, oh, this looks interesting, let's try this out, then it most likely will happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends on the situation, on the people that are interested in the technology of adoption. And I mean, the same problem is with Rust, I would say. I mean, I was at a Rust conference a few months back in Delft, and there was a talk about using Rust at Airbus for satellite software. Like, you would not expect that to be the case.
No.
But they are doing that. So, like, find the right people in the right place, and then it will be adopted. But if I was finding those people that are in the right place, so and that they're then also interested in the thing. So yeah, as a project like Deno or like a language like Rust trying to find adoption, it's tricky. It's not something too simple.
Yeah, but there's a interesting thing that I now see more and more. Before there was like a license model, right? And Red Hat is an example of that. I mean, even IntelliJ has their open source variant and then the Ultimate Edition, which is a license based. But Deno is not like that, right? Deno is not license based, or is it?
No.
What's like the business side of it?
So, to be clear, it's Deno, what we call Deno internally is the CLI.
Yeah.
The CLI is what most people see as Deno as well.
Which is open, free to download. You can use it.
You can use it, modify it, do whatever you want. It's MIT licensed. But then there is Deno Deploy, which is our hosting platform, similar to like Cloud for Workers for serverless edge functions. And that's like more on the business side. That has a premium plan that's completely closed source.
Yeah.
But it builds on top of Deno.
Exactly.
And then we have also like sub-hosting for like if you want to, but that's a part of Deploy. So like you can have your own SaaS if you want running on Deno Deploy as a sub-service or things like that. And then that's it, what we have.
And more companies, they have this open source model, which is like their main thing. And then they have spin-offs, which make it easier to deploy, less cost of ownership for customers. And that's where they make, let's say, the business side of it, financing.
Obviously, Deno itself does not make money.
No.
It's open source.
Yeah. Someone still pays you.
Yeah, but the thing is, if Deno gets more popular, Deno Deploy gets more popular.
Yeah. So it goes hand in hand.
Yeah. So Deno's popularity is an important factor for getting Deploy to be more popular.
Yeah. And I love this business model. I think it's very different from licensing, because licensing nowadays, if I am implementing something and I can pick 5 options and 4 have a paywall, then I play around with the free one.
Yeah.
And if the free one fits my use case, then I might even drop the other 4, because I can continue, I can execute, and I can make that decision and pivot if I need to, right? So we're going from this licensing thing where decisions are kind of behind closed doors to everything is open. You can even see the source code and contribute to something if you're missing a feature. And then off the side, for ease of use, or you want to do more advanced stuff, that's where companies then make it more easy, and that's like their premium model. And I love that concept. I think it's also more sustainable for how you then contribute, and you can build a community around the open part of it. Was that, so with starting Deno, and I don't know how far you are, like I think you are quite far in the history of it, was that already kind of the mindset to start this open source and then branch out in open core, or how did it get to the business side of things?
I don't know, honestly. At the time that Deno became a company, that was 21, I believe.
Yeah.
I was still just a contributor and was not part of the company yet. But, and like, Deno Deploy was being worked on at the time already. Like, I got to try like an early beta of it. And I guess they had the idea for a while to have like an actual product behind it, because, but I'm not too sure, honestly. I don't know the details on that.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it was Deno, then they had the idea for Deno Deploy. I guess the idea was to find some way to make money out of Deno. And then the company was made through that. So yeah, I guess Deno itself was just started with, let's make Deno.
Yeah.
Not let's make a company.
I think that's still the best way. Yeah, because I've seen twofold, right? Where companies start closed source and then they partially open source something that is really gaining traction or adoption, or they want to build a community around that. And the ones that start as open source and then they see the opportunity to find kind of a business model at whatever they have open source.
Yeah.
And companies that succeed in that, and companies that also fail in that, because at the end of the day, you can make a lot easier, but someone still needs to pay for it, and that's the hard part.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem with this model also is now you have an open source project that you need to pay people to work on.
Yeah.
So that means that the closed project needs to make more money.
Absolutely.
And that means you need to drive more adoption. But to drive more adoption, you need more people working on open source project. So it's, again, a chicken and egg problem where how do you get the right adoption? And obviously, adoption for any project is a tricky problem.
Absolutely. But I mean, if you say we have 150 PRs open, then something is going the right way in that equation because a lot of people are contributing, no?
Sure, that's true. And I mean, we close a lot of those PRs and like merge them, but I think 10 of those PRs are mine PRs from like over a year ago.
No way.
Yeah. Stuff that I still need to finish. And like, just because I changed like context so many times, I'm like, oh, now I need to work on this. And like, then I'm 6 months working on JSR or something like that. I have no time to work on the CLI. So like, stuff like
I didn't expect that to be the case. How is it then? Because from an engineering side, I wouldn't imagine going through that. Like I have some PRs open sometimes here and there, or at least in past experiences. And those can be open for like months. And then we make a decision, okay, is this still needed? Or
still want to we do that as well.
Yeah, but from a fulfillment perspective, if it's not merged, I feel kind of unfulfilled in a certain aspect.
I agree, but I completely forgot what those PRs are. No, I know what those PRs are, to some of them. I need to fix them up. It's just, I had other priorities then. Like
I don't want to hold you accountable.
No, at one point we had like internal hackathon to some degree.
Yeah.
Like issue closing marathon, basically. Like person that closes the most issues gets some reward. And it was then when I opened like those 10 PRs that are open.
Yeah.
And like that just remained there, sitting there while other stuff actually important happened. But I actually closed one of those PR a few days ago, I think, or I landed. And then I'm just trying to get through them at some point. But
oh yeah.
Not priority, especially with Deno 2 on the horizon at some point in the future. That is a main focus for us. So like working on stuff that's not important, like high priority, is not too viable right now. So it will probably sit there for a while longer.
Yeah.
But like those, like I think it's the oldest PR is my PR. Like the oldest open PR that is there is mine, at least was mine for a while. I'm not sure if it's still mine.
That's hilarious, man.
Like I think if you go on the last page of the Deno open PRs, like I think 3 of them or 4 of them are mine.
Yeah. I mean, it does make sense. Yeah. With open core, it's also, it allows you to create this, I mean, you already, because by virtue of being open, it creates kind of a community, right? Where people have the option to contribute and businesses then also capitalize on that. How much of the feedback coming from this open source part incorporates and reflects them back on the roadmap and is actually being prioritized?
I mean, it is quite important what people actually want. I mean, that's how you get adoption.
Yeah. But it can't be the only driver, right?
No. Obviously, there is money involved. Money is always involved. So there's what the clients want on the Deno deploy side.
Yeah. So
we prioritize what's on that side because, again, Deno deploy goes on top of Deno CLI. So like changes in Deno CLI need to be made to work then on deploy. So that's like one level of priority. Then there is, we are VC backed. So obviously investors want more money.
Oh yeah.
That's the life of VC.
Yeah.
So obviously there's priorities and what lies in getting more money in on that regard. So like there's prioritizing like what big businesses want or like corporations want to have in Deno to then drive instead of, and then there is what the actual open source community wants. And like finding the balance of that is not easy. It's tricky.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not something too easy, but I mean, we try to incorporate feedback from the community as much as possible. I mean, we have open issues, we close a lot of issues. So it's just finding the priorities, finding what we think is important and work on that.
Yeah. And Deno as a company, you mentioned is about like 25 to 30 people total?
Yeah, more or less, I think.
Something like that. How big is the engineering slice?
25, I think 25 people. If we say 30 people, then we're 25 people, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah. So every 5 engineers, you have one that is non-engineering.
Yeah, pretty much.
Something like that. What are some of the engineering standards within this company and even way of working? Because for me, for bigger organizations, everything is kind of Scrum, sometimes Kanban, but I haven't been on the kind of inside at an open source company or open core company?
I mean, we just have like a project board and a Google Docs document with stuff that needs to be done, and that's it.
And you just do that?
Yeah, I mean, mainly there is currently, especially, we use GitHub projects for like Deno 2.0, like targets and stuff we need to do for 2.0.
Yeah.
And that's more like just an actual priority board and stuff that needs to be worked on. So that's more of a traditional, I guess, company style thing to have like priorities on PRs, on issues, etc.
Yeah.
But for a long time, we didn't really do that.
Super bare bones.
Even one time we did, we stopped doing it just because it wasn't working for us.
I love that. I love that. I mean, it shows that you don't need it at the end if you can be effective.
Yeah.
What is like the seniority between the engineers that you have? Is there room for like junior engineers or?
Not really.
No, right?
Well, I mean, we do hire people, but especially engineers right now, we have enough from a business perspective, apparently. So we're just more looking into non-engineer roles. So, and especially if we do look for engineers, I mean, we will hire engineers if there's like some really special person that wants to join a company. But like for a long time, I don't think ever really we did really accept junior engineers. I mean, I was accepted, and I definitely counted as a junior engineer at the time. I still consider myself relatively junior.
I don't.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but is it because when junior engineers ask questions, or at least the questions I answer on this podcast, they're more from the angle of what company should I join? How can I get a head start? And usually I make the assumption that smaller organizations, and I mean, Deno is like very tech focused. You have companies that say we have tech at the heart, but there's not a lot of examples where it is the same as in Deno. So that's why my assumption was there's probably not a lot of room for junior engineers, right? Because you still have to educate them and guide them and grow them. And at some point, I think at Deno, you also need execution power more so than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the issue is like having to teach them. I think the issue is just VC company. We need the talented people. We need fast work done.
It's speed.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like crunch, but it's a good pace. Just want to like that. No, it's, I would say, it's a good pace.
It's a good pace. That's sustainable rather than crunch.
Yeah,
that's
crunch,
good.
I mean, awful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just, junior engineers, I mean, every now and then we do get like one or two people, but it's like really rarely, and then see what happens. But yes, at its core, we don't really accept junior engineers just because they're too much overhead, like too complicated to handle currently, especially, again, VC wants money. So we do what we need to do to make them happy.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to then the engineering standards, how have you standardized, let's say, best engineering practices, or how do people think about that? Or how did you get alignment throughout those 25 engineers?
In what sense exactly do you mean?
With regards to, I mean, it doesn't even have to be architecture in the code base. At some point, your PRs have comments, and the less comments are better. And the less comments is probably also the more you are aligned in kind of their train of thought in executing whatever needs to be done.
That's, I haven't really thought about that too much, honestly. I mean,
it can also happen because you have this level of seniority where everyone already thinks of what can go wrong or what might be missed, and then that's kind of out of the box already in there.
Yeah, I mean, we have people, like, let's say, I think on average, we have like 2 to 3 people that know a specific area.
Okay.
That's more or less the average at the company. So it's always like one person makes the PR, the other person reviews it, and it happens that people just miss stuff. And issues go through. Yeah. That's bound to happen.
Interesting.
Especially at our pace that we go, like, we rather land stuff and then fix than, I mean, we still rather actually fix, like, get it right on the first time, obviously.
Obviously. It can be prevented, yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes it's just easier, actually, even to just land it and then fix it afterwards, depending on what it is.
But then there's definitely knowledge silos then, no? And things that come to a standstill if those 2 or 3 people are all on holiday. Or do you also find yourself working in those, let's say, areas of specialism?
I mean, it depends, honestly, on the necessity of something. But mostly it actually people stay on basically on their track of what they know and what they do.
Yeah.
like I do a lot of web stuff. So there's me, there's Luca, my colleague, and that's like maybe a third person there is as well that does web stuff, but that's basic. But really it's just me and Luca.
Yeah.
And then like there's on the TypeScript side of things, like the TypeScript support, it's basically just nearly one person. I mean, there's also another person that obviously has to review them, like he knows as well, but like that actually does the work on anything TypeScript related. That's basically one person. And like, yeah, that's for other topics as well, like LSP support, like that's a thing we have. That's also one person, and then one person that reviews it.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's mainly actually one that actually has in-depth knowledge into the specific field and implements it, and someone that has a bit more higher knowledge, more generalized, that reviews.
Yeah, interesting balance. How much do you share knowledge then of each other's specialism? Or is there also like, just because of the speed and the delivery, not a lot of time and attention for it?
Yeah, there's not that much shared knowledge base. I mean, there's some things, obviously, but many things not. Like, for example, for the web, not really.
Yeah.
Just me and Luca, and that's basically it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's some other people that know a bit here and there, but like they're not in depth in it. So
yeah, I'm asking because in previous projects, we always advocated for, we don't want many knowledge silos, right, when it comes to implementations, but then we're not working on such low level things when it comes to, let's say, the components of a CLI, which is open source.
Yeah.
So there's different time and attention towards that.
Yeah, I mean, ideally more people would be more sharing the knowledge. And we do want to do that more.
Of course.
Like we split the CLI team into two parts. We have the CLI team, and then we have the ecosystem team, which is where I work on, which is JSR, Fresh, which is our like front-end framework, LSP related stuff, I think, falls into that maybe as well. Our standard library. So basically everything that has to do more with the ecosystem. And in that ecosystem team, we do try to share the knowledge a bit more. Like I have people that work on the standard library to look at the stuff related to like documentation generation, because there's like some overlap between that, the documentation generation for the standard library. I always interest the people of the standard library, but also there's the actual creating of the documentation generation. Then I need someone to review that. So then I have someone from the standard library being able actually to review the stuff.
Interesting.
So there's some more sharing of knowledge happening, but it's very, very slow.
Yeah, I get that.
And it depends. If like there's a project that's high priority, then there will be more knowledge sharing for that specific project.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, time is finite, right? And I think people underestimate that. I think it would be kumbaya to say there's no knowledge silos and everything knows everything about the whole code base. So you have to make decisions there. And I think it's very interesting that the focus is on, let's say, creating value and delivering, and therefore there is less knowledge sharing than you would have, let's say, in a different type of setting, in a different type of organization. And I think there's a right or wrong. There's just a decision that has to be made or has been made. Yeah, which is very interesting. As a last train of thought, I was wondering how many times or how often has it happened, mainly from the past, where people that contributed to Deno from an open source perspective, at the end of the day, got a career also at Deno?
I mean, I would say, no, nowadays not anymore, but at the beginning, it was basically everyone. Yeah. Everyone started contributing at Deno and then joined the company. I mean, I would say it's only like in the recent 2 years that people actually join, not through contribution. But before that, it was only through contribution, basically.
Yeah.
Obviously, we grew as a company, so we had more needs for like SREs. And then, you cannot really contribute to the Deno as an SRE. So like, obviously, you join directly to the Deno deploy team and work on that. And so that's not through contribution, but for a long, I would say a good half of the company is through contribution, maybe even a bit more. Yeah.
Is that still a good way to go about it, you think? When you are looking for a job, that's a possibility, or is it kind of a long shot? Because you landed it, I'm very curious in your take.
It depends. Yeah. It depends on the company. It depends on what the company's focus is. It depends on, you as well. Do you actually do the job well?
Yeah.
That's always an important factor. But yeah, it's mainly depends on the company. If they need more people, if they see that you are fit for the role, if they see that you do good work and that you output a lot of work. But the problem with outputting a lot of work in an open source project is that you need to invest a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
And most people can't do that because they're working at something else.
Yeah.
So that's, it's a tricky issue.
It's not an easy path, it sounds.
No, it's not. It's quite tricky. I mean, for me, it worked out well because I dropped out of high school and then instantly, like half a year later, COVID started.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, it's COVID. I'm home anyways. Might as well just do something. Yeah, somehow worked out.
Yeah.
Like, I was not expecting this whatsoever.
You grabbed hold and never let go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I really want to thank you, man. It was really fun kind of picking your brain, seeing how it works behind the scenes at Deno, as well as touching on numerous different aspects. Is there anything you still want to share before we round off?
No, but I mean, try out JSR, I guess.
Yeah.
Try out Deno, try out Fresh, like try our ecosystem out.
Yeah.
People think we are not production ready for some reason, but we have 1.0 already released like since 3 years. So like it's 1.0 for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Cool. Then I'm going to round it off there. Thank you so much for listening. Let us know in the comments what you thought about this episode. And again, thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one.